point the finger at you in a nice way to say, your process and what you are doing is causing that. Stage one, you should be keeping at least 90% of the money you make. You're gonna get 40 signed cases per month from our SEO services, which means at $20,000 a month, you will get cases for $500 per signed case. What's up? I think we're live. I think it's happening. I think the show is going. What's up, everybody? I love what you guys are building. I love the cool shit that you guys are making happening. I read a quote one time that said something like 1 or 2% of people make stuff happen. 3 to 5% of people think they make stuff happen, and 95% of people are walking around going, what happened? And you guys are the 1% that make shit happen, which is why I love you. I don't know if the rest of you guys feel this way, but I actually have a hard time interacting with the general public because most people are like so victim-y. But you guys are the opposite. I love talking about what you guys are building and intending and creating. You guys have hopes and dreams beyond just, you know, like hoping your sports ball team wins a championship or that your favorite series will come out. Not that we don't enjoy those things too, but you guys have very near and dear personal goals, and I love it. Just a quick little announcement before we get rocking and rolling. The Wolf Pack, you know, I'll tell you one of the things that a lot of people have been coming to us lately is a twofold effect of their own offer has become hard to sell, and their client's offer is hard to sell. And actually, a lot of times when you fix the second level of that, making the client's offer easy to sell, then your shit becomes easy to sell because it's like, hey, I'll fix your own sales bottleneck. And it doesn't require often like even lead generation at all, which makes it so much easier to do because it's just tweaking resources they already have. So it's like, it's a crazy powerful skill to have in the arsenal. So those of you guys who are interested, you can check that out. There's a link below, beyondagencyprofits.com/wolfpack. We also got the cool store there, putting out some cool courses. And I've been behind the scenes writing a little guide, not a whole book, but just a little guide on how we do outreach and what's been working well for us. And just going to give you guys the keys to the castle on that. So I'm excited to share that. Also recorded training on getting whale clients. To me, as a whale, as a client who's going to pay you $100,000 and more, you know, kind of what that process looks like, what that journey is. A little big shout out to Sean for the inspiration on that. So anyways, let's get into the good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Frankie Finn proudly brings to you our weekly Q&A. Ba-dum-bum-bum-ba-dum. Pure shenanigans up in here. Somebody watched too much 90s wrestling as a kid. You want to come in here and run your mouth like you impressed The Rock? All right, let's get into the questions here. Tomas says, what are the easiest niches for lead generation when it comes to service delivery? I'm in the interior design and I can close clients, but delivery part is very difficult for this niche, so I'm losing clients and just spinning my wheels. Let me tell you something on this, Tomas, my man, is if you want an easy delivery, it is not actually usually about the niche. So a lot of times people think, like, is it easier to do it for dentists? I'm not saying there isn't variance. It's probably easier to generate leads for a roofer or a home services person than it is, say, an interior designer. But almost always what people do is they go after the hardest business first. And I was just having a conversation about this. And I'll give you guys a real life example. Is the hardest business first, and the reason people do that is because that's what the business owners ask for. They say, I need more new people. You can just ignore them and understand that what they think they need and what they actually need are different. You'll actually work the problem in reverse. And so I call this the goal line running back. If you think about American football, like there's often a running back who will take the ball up the field running it, and then at the last minute they make a substitution, often to like a bigger, stronger guy, and his only job is to get those last couple of hard, difficult yards where there's more defenders and more blocking and more people like trying to stop the run. And so like the goal line running back, his job is not to be the guy who brings it all the way. He's just like, he's going to take it the last little bit across the finish line. So we have a couple of people, I'm just, you know, thinking one that comes to mind is Justin, for example, when he first came to work with us, like what he was doing is he would have these custom concrete guys, and they would build anything you want. Like they could build a marble statue or a countertop, or you want a bathtub made out of stone. And so they would get these quotes in there, and often their quote process was really slow, and they take a long time to source the materials and get back to people. And so what they said is, we need more new leads. They all say that, right, by the way? And he focused on, how can I get it from the time you get a lead to getting a quote within 24 hours, and actually speeding that process up, so that when somebody says, I'm interested, like you guys have that, and focused on helping them with their closing process. And what happened is, it turns out they actually had tons of good leads. They just didn't know what to fucking do with their leads. And that's pretty typical of most businesses. So the reason I say that is, the goal line running back is almost always the opportunity of not like, how can I get more new people, but what are you doing with the ones you already have? What are you doing with the opportunities that are already coming through the door? Because I'll tell you, like, if you talk to 100 business owners, 99 of them are not well optimized for that conversion process. And if you solve that problem, you'd be amazed that all of a sudden driving traffic is easy, because like it converts, right? So once it converts, it's like, it's not super hard to drive traffic. So if you focus on being the goal line running back for somebody, you'll make your life a whole bunch easier. And that would be my suggestion, is don't like focus on changing niches, because I'll tell you, nothing kills momentum for people. It frustrates me to no end, is I see so many people come in here and they ask, like, is it an issue with interior designers? I'm going to go do plumbers. And then plumbing turns out to be difficult, and then they go try, dentists, and then dentists are hard for different reasons. And the biggest thing that keeps people stuck is they never build any real momentum, because they keep changing niches every fucking month or so. And you have to be able to like go continuously in one direction. And there's a reason for that, by the way, which is that most high ticket sales happen over time. It's not like somebody just reads an outreach message for you and then go, here you go, here's $100,000. I'm not saying it never happens, but that's atypical. That's not the normal process. Often they'll have a conversation, they'll check you out, they'll watch some of your stuff. Like it's a journey. And if you try and rush it, what happens is you don't ever build any momentum, because you send 100 outreach messages, nobody buys, and then you go try some other shit. I see we got our man Cole pounded it in there. And Derek, what's up, my dude? Good seeing you both. So don't make it harder on yourself and change niches every 5 minutes. Like, if you're gonna pick a niche, you don't have to be locked into it forever, but like stay in it for at least 6 months. That's my suggestion. And then if you want to make your life easier on the delivery side, focus more on being the goal line running back, and less on the, hey, I'll bring the ball all the way up the field kind of guy. Brian says, do you really have to do client approvals for content creation, such as the ad copy, so they interfere and undermine your expertise, delays? Any thoughts? Yeah, Brian, I got a lot of thoughts on this. And I'm going to point the finger at you in a nice way to say, your process and what you are doing is causing that. So what I mean by that, and it took me a lot of years to understand this, if you get 10 clients, one of those clients is going to be super nice and super grateful and super kind and super gracious, because that's how they are. And one of those clients is going to be a fucking asshole, because that's who they are. And 80% of them, 8 of them, will go the direction you lead them. And so a lot of times we don't realize the way we set expectations determines how they'll behave as clients. So I have a friend who calls this, a mentor actually, who calls this the benevolent dictator. And the idea of a benevolent dictator is a dictator, like, they don't like ask if things are okay. They just fucking do it. But like a benevolent dictator is doing it in everybody's best interest. So I'll give you an example of this. This magic phrase, okay? If you say, here's how we normally work. I say, we're really good at creating content. We're really great at writing ads. So just let us do our thing and leave us alone. But if there are like specifics you want us to include in your brand, either certain colors or images or things you want to be known for and you want us to say religiously, let us know. But otherwise, like, we're going to do our thing. And we'll send you an update after the fact, after we've run the ads, to let you know what it is we're doing. But if you just tell them that's how it is, they won't ask you to look at it. Now, chances are in your process, you've said something like, hey, we typically send updates for you to look at and give us the thumbs up. And that's why they're undermining you, because you're as part of the process, telling them that how the process works is you get to decide whether or not, it's a go. And I say, fuck that. Just tell them, like, here's how it's going to go down. Because it sounds like for you, it's a point of frustration. I know for for our sake, we had a couple of lawyers over the years that they just wanted to write their own ads, and I had a couple of plastic surgeons way back in the day too. And of course, they don't know how to fucking write ads, so none of their shit works. And then they blame you when it doesn't work for a poorly written ad. So you have to like benevolently say, here's how we work, here's how it's going down, and here you. And almost always, if you say, here's how we work, here's how it's going down, do you have any questions about that? Are you cool with that? Any issues with any of that? They'll say no, and they'll just go along with it. Like a lot of times you think about this, like doctors are really good at this. And so you got to think about like your process as like a doctor. When you go to the doctor, like I don't know how it is for you guys. It's been a long time since I've been to a doctor, but they like sit you down and they bring you into that room with the butcher paper. You know, they put the butcher paper down or the wax paper, whatever it is, and you got to sit down on the butcher paper. For some reason, you always got to take your pants off. The doctors, maybe I'm just hung like a horse and they always want to see it. But you just do it. Why? Because the doctor tells you that's how it's going down. Get in that room, go wait there, sit on the fucking butcher paper. I'll be there in a minute, right? Like he just tells you this is how it's going down. You're in my house. This is how we do things here, right? So you want to think about that as like somebody's coming to your house, like dinner will be at 5 o'clock. If you tell them dinner will be at 5 o'clock, it would be unreasonable for them to go, hey, it's 4:30. Why am I not eating? Right? So part of the reason that they're asking for feedback is you're probably telling them, I want your feedback in that process. So wherever you're doing that, take that thing out and just that's right, Paul. I'm hung like a horse. I'll give you 12 inches, but because I'm a marketer, I got to do it on the installment plan. You get 4 easy payments of 3. And if you act now, I'll knock off 1 easy payment. Oh my God, I've seen too many infomercials over my life. But for real, set a stronger frame for think about how you want the process to work and then just tell people that's how I work. I'm gonna post some ads for you. I'm gonna do these things. I'll let you know when the ads go live. I'll send you a report. I'll send you updates. That's how we work around here. Any issues with that? I'd like to review those things. Hey, we found that usually when clients want to review things like a lot of times they end up wanting to write their own ads and they're just not as good at it as we are. If there's certain things you want us to include, happy to do that, but we don't let people write their own ads because this is our area of expertise. Any issues with that? No, as long as you guys, use my tagline, that's okay, right? Like, so anyways, don't get caught up in letting clients do their own shit. You'll make your life so much easier if you just tell them, here's how it's going down. This is how we work. That's my magic phrase. This is how we work. Blah, 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 blah. Any issues with that? No. All right, cool. Jim says, looking for a media buyer that has experience in home services. This wasn't a question. I just wanted to comment on it, is that almost always when people think they need media buyers, what they actually need is a better back end. And let me explain what I mean by that, okay? If you look at any ad platform in existence, it doesn't matter which one. You can talk about Facebook, Google, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, or X. I have a hard time calling it X. LinkedIn, whatever, it doesn't matter. Pick a media that you're advertising on, TV. Do ad costs over time do this? Go up? Do they stay level? Or do they go down? They fucking always go up, right? So Dan Kennedy says, he who can spend the most for a customer wins. And let's say, for example, there's 2 agencies, they each charge $1,000 a month. And person 1 keeps clients for 3 months, and so they make an average of $3,000 per client. And person 2 keeps an average clients for 5 years, and so they make an average of $60,000 per client. Well, person 2 can spend $3,000 on advertising, no problem, go in the negative in the first 2-3 months, and basically put person number 1 out of business. Derek says I'm hung like a caterpillar. Hey, it's the motion in the ocean in that caterpillar, my man. Motion in the ocean. I got 3 kids, so I must be doing something right. Sorry, I digress from the shenanigans. So almost always when people think they need a media buyer, what they need to actually focus on is increasing revenue on the back end so they can afford to pay whatever the fuck they want on the front end. And what happens is usually almost always people's goal with a media buyer is to get cheaper and cheaper ads. I'll give you an example of this. I actually have a really good friend who he sells courses online. He used to have a really big agency, got tired of agencies, moved on to selling courses. He has a $500 course that he sells, and he runs through YouTube ads. And when he came to me, he said, I'm spending $1,000 a day on ads, and I'm selling 2 courses a day. So I'm spending $1,000 and I'm making $1,000. If I could just get my ad costs down like 10 cents, 20 cents, I would make a whole bunch of money. Now, I know it seems like that. Let's get a media buyer and get our ad costs down 10 or 20 cents. But actually, the best thing you can do is sell them a second course, sell them the next thing, sell them the add-on. Like, after you solve the first problem, what's the next problem that they're working on? Like, create something for that, or have a mentorship or a affiliate product or something. And almost always, rather than trying to get your ad cost down a penny and try and squeeze more juice out of the same orange, you're working smarter. You're taking the seed out of the orange and you're planting more orange trees from the same tree. And what you'll find is, even if you're not 100% efficient at wringing the juice out of it, you're going to get way more orange juice at the end of the day. So it's like, that to me is the first sale of many sales. Now you've acquired a customer. What else are you doing on the back end? So almost always, this is universally true in business, where they think, I need cheaper ad costs, I need cheaper leads, I need to get my costs down, and they actually need to make their back end more profitable. You'd be amazed at how much all the other numbers start working in the business when, like, retention and average client value goes up. So you knowing that, focus on their real issues, and in your case, and you'll have better clients in general, I think. So having said that, we do have some awesome media buyers in the group, so feel free to post for that. We got 3 more that are all anonymous. Anytime you guys are anonymous, just so you know, I assume that you're sitting at home with your pants off and you don't want people to know. You don't want them to feel the shame and guilt of the fact that you're doing this internet marketing business naked. And I say, like, that's the way it's supposed to be done, my man or my woman, doing this pantless. It's part of the fun, right? Clients say, hey, you're such a professional, as you're laying in bed in your underwear with your foot up and letting out a big fart. Anyways, Anonymous says, I'm wondering how much you guys pay. Oh, sorry, I missed one. Let's before we get to Anonymous. Our man Dave, I saw this actually in another group, but Dave's in our group and good near dear friend of mine, and I wanted to expand on this. He says, really curious, what percentage of revenue is your payroll? I'm going to give you the lawyerly answer. Always, every lawyer answer, by the way, ever, is it depends. And the biggest thing it depends on is what stage of the journey you're in. Stage 1, it's just you. You're the janitor, you're the CEO, you're the ad person, you're the fulfillment, you're the customer service, you're the email rep, you're the media buyer, you're all those things. In stage 1, you should be keeping at least 90% of the money you make, right? So if someone hires you to do a website, like, you should be keeping most of that money. 80, 90%, other than like a few software and tools and maybe the occasional freelancer you hire, most of it's yours. Then you reach stage 2, you got a small team. Suddenly, it's not unusual for payroll to start looking like 20 to even as high as 40%, depending on the size of your team, your niche, your deliverable, how complex it is, and some of those factors. But now it's like it's normal to pay a percentage to the team. When you get in the managerial stage, like 40 to 60% of your money is going towards payroll. And then when you start getting the really high end, it depends how you want to build it. We have people in our group that would have 50 and $100 million agencies, if you can believe that. 9-figure agencies and up. And most of those people are operating on 10 to 20% margins, which is pretty typical. So they're not keeping a whole percentage of that. But if you get 10% of a watermelon, that's way better than owning 100% of a grape, and so that's the mentality they're operating under. But $50 million agency, you might only be, as an owner, keeping like $5 million, which is not anything to cry and sneeze about, but you're going to invest a huge percentage in payroll to ensure that your clients are successful. So hope that's helpful as a guideline. It depends where you're at in the journey. I'd say in your stage, just knowing you, probably 40 to 60% is like a typical payroll amount. Anonymous says, I'm wondering how much you guys pay or charge for Facebook ads management. What's included in the price? I'm getting quotes all over the board. Here's the deal with Facebook ads. It's a hammer. Nobody ever buys a hammer, right? Like, if I run Facebook ads for you and I make $10 million in, selling your service, is that the same thing as if I just run Facebook ads and post some ads and no idea whether or not they'll work, right? So it depends on a few things. Firstly, the niche you're doing it for and the outcome you create with Facebook ads. Those are the two most important things. If you sell any service as the deliverable, meaning you're going to sell like Facebook ads, you're going to have a really fucking hard time selling it. In fact, I encounter people every day. It's funny because so many of us are so good at helping clients get sales, but like selling our own stuff is often a different animal. Sometimes because clients are B2C and we're selling our stuff B2B. And so like the way those get, the nuances of it are different. But the easiest way to make your stuff hard to sell is talk about your thing instead of talking about the problems it solves and the outcome it creates and for who it does it for. So an example of that is I'll give you an example. We have somebody in our group who sells SEO clients. He gets $20,000 a month per client. If he sold that as, hey, hire me and I'll do some SEO, he'd have a really hard time selling that. What he sells is our typical average result is that we're going to get 40 signed cases per month from our SEO services, which means at $20,000 a month, you will get cases for $500 per signed case. And he sells the outcome, right? And he does it in this case for personal injury lawyers. So point being is like, they're not buying the SEO, they're buying the outcome, in which case is like, I want 40 signed cases at $500. In his case, that's a very real, tangible outcome. I don't suggest pie in the sky outcomes if you're just starting out. For those of you guys who are looking to model it, start with one of something. Like, what can you get? Like I always say, the most valuable and small but meaningful result is to get somebody one of something. I'll get you one lead. I'll get you one sale. I'll get you one coaching client. I'll get you one case. I'll get you one something, right? Get you one personal fitness, person. I don't even, client, I guess, whatever. So anyways, I hope that's helpful, but it's not really about the Facebook ads, and it never really was. So don't package your stuff as that, and don't let other people package to you as that. A good friend of mine, by the way, just elaborating on that, good friend of mine, David Schloss, who is one of the baddest ass Facebook ads people in existence. He says for some clients, like, that have e-commerce and 1,000 products, like he might run 50 split tests a day. For other clients, they might just run 1 or 2 ads a week. It's not really about the number of ads. It's how well those ads work and do they hit the outcomes, right? So hope that's helpful. Another anonymous, either the same person or somebody else, pantless. What do you charge for a package that includes on-site / off-site robust SEO, 1,000-word optimized blogs with links, local service ad management, monthly reports and meetings, social media creation and posting on 4 platforms 5 times a week? Again, will depend on your niche, will depend on the outcome you can create with all of those deliverables, will depend on who you do it for. So if you think about those things, like who most benefits from it and what outcome can I create with it, and not how many blogs. People aren't buying 8 blogs, 10 blogs, 50 blogs is not better than 3 blogs. If those 3 blogs get featured in the local news and 50 blogs no one reads, then 3 blogs is better than 50. So you want to always tie your stuff to outcomes. There's more nuance to it than that, but the easiest way to think about an irresistible offer in a high-ticket transformational service is to think about it as an irresistible outcome. Like, what happens when your service is done? You've posted the blogs, you've had the meetings, you finished the SEO. Now what? What does that person actually experience? What is the end result of all those kind of doing things? So, it's the difference between selling doing, I'm going to do you some blog posts, versus gets done. When it's finished, you're going to have 10, 20 cases this month, right? So you want to always sell the what gets done, not the doing. Another anonymous says, what are the difference between a $3,000 website and a $30,000 website? Probably the same things I've just been saying. The niche, the outcome, who you do it for. Those are the 3 biggest variables that determine. I'll give you an example of this. When I first started, we sold websites, which I don't do a ton of now, although I do white label a little bit here and there. Thanks to the Lane Train, by the way, for making us look good on the delivery of those things. So when we sell websites in the very beginning, I'm talking 2008, 2009, and I was just kind of getting a feel for selling websites, a typical average website was anywhere from $500 to $1,000. And I got a massive amount of pushback about that price. So I kind of falsely concluded at the time, and I don't know if any of you guys can relate to this, but I concluded ain't nobody out there going to pay more than $1,000 for a website. And I kind of assumed they knew they could get it off of freelancer.com and Upwork and these kind of places. And there's a million web designers. Then I got involved in the plastic surgery space and got more and more involved. And I found out there was a company in there called MedNet. I believe MedNet still exists today, but I don't know. I'm not active in the plastic surgery niche, so I can't really say for sure. But MedNet charges $40,000 for a website. And the crazy thing to me was it's just a 2 or 3 year lease. Meaning you do not own your own website. At the end of 2 years, you either got to pony up another $40,000, or they take your website offline, you got to pay somebody else to build it. And I was always like, why would anybody in their fucking right mind pay these people $40,000 for a website you don't even fucking own? And it wasn't until I started talking to plastic surgeons that had MedNet websites, and this is what they said. Well, if I just get 2 people from the site in 2 years, then I made my money back on it. So for them, it wasn't about like the website. The website was a tool, and their rationale was if it just creates a small but meaningful outcome in my world of a couple extra sale, then that's worth it. So that's my way of saying, if you pick a niche, say in this case plastic surgeons, and you focus on an outcome like I'll get you a couple extra patients, and you focus on the biggest spenders in the space who spend the most amount of money on a website, like don't be surprised if people pay you $40,000 for a website. So the difference between a $30,000 website and a $3,000 website is usually those things: what niche you do it, who you do it for, and what outcome the website creates. You combine those 3 things, and what you'll find is you'll be able to update, like massively upgrade your own pricing for selling websites for those of you guys who do. And the same thing would be just as true if you're doing SEO or pay-per-click, Google ads, Facebook ads, YouTube, book funnels, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's all kind of the same in there. So hope that's helpful to you guys. It looks like that's all the questions we have today. You guys are throwing me some softballs up there. I appreciate it when you guys give me easy questions that I don't have to sweat for. The software questions make me sweat because I'm probably the most anti-software guy, even though I use a lot of the tools. It's just like for us, I've learned 10 to 30 new pieces of software for almost 20 straight years. I'm sick of software, so I like try and run my agency with as minimal software as humanly possible. I know most people are moving the other direction, but for us, we're like, I'm focused on the things that'll still be there in 10, 20 years that aren't going to change, probably because I'm too lazy to learn new software, but nothing will make you as miserable as having to learn another fucking new software, at least in my experience. So for those of you guys who love it, don't take my advice as gospel. Different strokes for different folks. But anyways, as I mentioned at the top of the hour, for those of you guys that are interested in checking out the Wolfpack, especially for those of you guys who recognize your stuff's been hard to sell or your client stuff has been hard to sell because of an offer issue, like it's usually just a little bit of tweak and it goes from hard to easy. I've heard a number of people tell me that after we made that switch that it was like, for them, it was like going from swimming against the current to with it. It's like a fish trying to fight the current. As soon as you have an easy to sell offer, like all of a sudden you're moving downwind and things get a lot easier. So if you're interested in talking about your offer and potentially giving it a facelift or your client's offer, give us a holler. We'll make your shit easier. Make it easy enough to sell. No phone calls, no meetings, any of that good stuff. And it's usually about just like giving people what they want, like actually helping people. And this is different than what every marketer does. It's like every marketer, for the most part, sells them like, I'm going to get you more. And instead we focus on like, okay, when the more is finished, what does that actually look like? Let's focus on creating that outcome for somebody in the simplest, easiest, fastest way possible. And it's good for folks. It's good for you. It's good for them. So we don't want people to work harder, including our clients. Anyways, that's all I got for you guys. Appreciate you guys all. You guys are the best. And thanks for making this a special session by talking about my penis, which is my favorite topic of all time. So much love for you guys. Happy Monday, and may the force be with you. Hey guys, if you like this video, you'll probably also like our free Facebook group, Beyond Agency Profits, Agency Lifestyle Design. You can get free copies of the book inside here. I look ridiculous. We're doing weekly Q&As, giving answers to all your questions. Some of the best, smartest, brightest people. We've got lots of industry leaders doing 7, 8 figures and beyond. It's a literal who's who of the brightest agency owners that I know, as well as lots of tips on scaling and stuff, books that work. So if you're not already part of it, you're going to want to be part of it. So make sure to click the link. I put it in the description of the video as well as in the pinned top comment below. So just scroll down and you can join, and it's totally free.